So Mona Tashroudian, so nice to have you here.
Thank you, Scott. Nice to be here.
Yeah, because I know that you, as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner, I honestly, I do not know how you do it. It just seems, I mean, how do you do it? I mean, because most people, they decide, I'm going to focus on this or focus on that, but you seem to do everything really well. So what is it that makes that work for you?
Um, Not stopping to think about what you're doing. Just
Uh-huh.
keep on going. Lots of coffee and really keeping busy. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I just like to stay busy. It brings me joy. It keeps me happy. So I don't like downtime, sadly.
So what made you want to get into the area of law? It's employment law, you're a litigator. So what made you decide to get into that?
So I used to do wrongful death cases when I first started, and it was just a little bit intense dealing with
Hmm.
the death side of things. And growing up, my dad was a teacher, and I saw him getting laid off a lot and having job changes, and it really affects the household. And
Yeah.
someone's job is really their livelihood. So when I was looking at getting out of that practice, actually, my first job was with an employment lawyer right out of law school, and I really took to it and just the people that you're helping. And I do plaintiff side, meaning that I help the people who were fired, wrongfully terminated, any other wage and hour issues, because your job is like your second home for most people. It's your
Hmm.
livelihood. Without a job, you can't pay your bills sometimes. So it was really an area of law that I felt I could help people. And as cliche as it may sound, the reason was I want to go into helping people. And I've had clients tell me like recently that I've really changed their life, and I that wasn't the intention. The intention it was to help people. I didn't think I would change anyone's life, so it's really
Right.
rewarding to hear that from some of my clients.
That's great. That's how I feel too. And my business is the same thing, is that it's like, okay, I'm a realtor. Well, when we were trying to figure out how to brand me, I said, I don't know. I'm more than just a realtor. I mean, yeah, I want to get paid because I want to support my family, but it means a lot to me to do great by clients. It's so rewarding. So I love to hear you say that too. A lot of people don't say that, but the fact that you're doing something you really love and it's rewarding to you, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Yeah.
great.
And so tell us about your practice a little bit too.
So I work with my brother. We downsized to just the two of us after COVID, and it's working. We take on cases that we know we can handle.
Mhm.
We're very lean, but because of that, I have a lot of one-on-one interaction with my clients, so I really get to know them instead of passing them off to like a junior, which is fine. Everyone needs to learn and get the experience, but I really like holding my clients' hands during this process because it can be very tedious and stressful and difficult. So it's the two of us. We mostly work off of word of mouth and referrals from friends and family,
Hmm.
former clients, and we're in the valley. And we're here to
Hmm.
help.
That's great. I love what you say you're lean because that's how I feel too. I didn't want to become a big team. I didn't want to be. My dad always said, why don't you become a broker? You should have your own shop. And I said, no, I don't want to. What I want to, I'm going to keep it really, really tight so that when clients call or in touch with me, they feel like they're the only one. And
Yeah,
so it
I
sounds
felt
very, very similar.
I
What's
felt
that?
I felt that for sure with you. Like you were on it the whole time, so I really appreciate that.
All right, so let's talk about me for a second. Um,
Sure.
Actually, I did want to thank you too in front of people that, I mean, give me the opportunity because I know that you know a lot of agents. I know that, and there's a lot of great ones out there too. That's just the truth. There's not so good ones, but there's a lot of really good ones, especially in the circles that you and I swim in. There's a lot. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I got to see how you work too because you're so calm, you're so focused, you're so easy, but you are very direct. It's like, Scott, this is what I'm thinking. I need you to hear this because I'm not just saying this. If this doesn't happen, we're not going to move forward. And I want you to know that ahead of time. And I thought, well, that's refreshing because I knew what I was getting into.
Mhm.
And so thank you for that. And your husband, man, he was awesome too. You guys were just great to work with. I really appreciate you both.
We love working with you. And yes, I can be very direct. I don't want to waste people's time, as you know.
Exactly, exactly. So, do you want to talk about? I mean, the truth is, I think the deal went really well. But there were a couple of, there's always hiccups in any, little road bumps in any deal, no matter what it is. And so, what would you like to talk about with that?
So I think the first decision that we had to make was selling the house. And I think we came to you, we're like, do we lease it? Do we sell it? I was in this limbo. And I really appreciate and that was a hard decision to even come to get rid of this
Right.
property. It had been a rental for about a year. And then you kind of were towards the mindset of let's fix it up, kind of like, do some paint, change the doorknobs,
Yeah.
all that little stuff that makes a huge difference. And I was a little unsure. I'm like, what if we're just going to lease it? But I really trusted you. So I think it was really important that I knew you. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have trusted you, but I knew you. I knew what kind of person you were. So I was like, Scott knows what he's doing. But that was hard because as a mom and a business owner, I'm also kind of a control freak. So to let go of that and really trust you was a difficult decision. Aside from just letting go of this house, which is where my kids were born. It was it was our first home. And
That's
we
sweet.
loved the house. We loved our neighbors. So that was, still till this day, I'm a little bit sad, but I'm so happy it went painlessly. And then we went and did some tweaks and fixes, and there was stuff when I thought we were done, and you're like, no, we need to do more. But that was fine because I trusted you, and I think, it went seamlessly, and the house sold in like 2 weeks, so it was all worth it.
What was interesting is I know that you guys had gone in there and you were handling some of it on your own, getting some stuff done. And I knew we were like 2 or 3 days from shoot. I went over there and I thought, okay, we're asking for top dollar. We really, really are. And if we get this, it's going to be pretty huge. But I felt the house was special enough that we had a shot at it. And I went over there and it was like there was a little crack in a light that needed to be turned around and a door wasn't closing well. And then the landscapers hadn't really, really dolled it up. And by the end of it, I called up the project manager and I went, gosh, I'm not ready to shoot this. And I said, I got to figure out how to handle this. And she goes, what are you going to do? And I said, just I'm gonna bring it to them the way that they bring it to me. I'm just gonna be really open and honest and transparent.
Yeah.
That's when I told you I was so happy you were responsive to that because I thought I don't think we're gonna. I thought we had less of a chance of getting your number if we didn't do those things. So thank you for trusting me because then all of a sudden it came together and when we shot it, I was like, this is what I wanted to see. My vision was fulfilled.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have a great vision, and I knew you did. But again, a lot of it was just, and my husband's like, just do whatever you want, which is not helpful. Like, he's very like, whatever. And I'm kind of the one who's like, let's think about this a little bit. But
Sure.
so it works. But your vision was what really led it and was
Thank
able
you.
to get us that top dollar amount. So it wasn't difficult going through that process because I trusted you, but coming to that conclusion that we were going to sell the house and actually put it on the market and then go through with all the renovations because to us we had just renovated the house, but you saw
Right.
it way, right? You sell, that's what you do as a job. You sell houses. We don't.
Exactly.
So you're like, we got to do this and that. And in my head, I'm like, oh, who pays attention to this stuff? Apparently. So it ended up working out beautifully.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, because when I brought it to your attention, I knew that it had a dollar sign attached to it. So I just leaned into, never once have we asked someone to invest in their house and we haven't gotten it back. And we usually get it back 2, 3, 4 times. And so I was confident that so when you had to spend that money, I just was focusing with you on, okay, what's the ROI? You're going to invest this, but then we're going to get you your number. And my contention was we're going to make you at least 100 or 150 above, if we didn't do these things. And so I was really happy that it worked out so well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did. So
And another thing that I found worked well with you is that because you were trying to decide lease versus sell. And so to me, it's all about getting people information. And I know that you're like my wife in that the best thing you can do is when you ask a question is get you what you need to make the decision. So we had our leasing specialist over there and we got realistic numbers on both sides. We figured out once you had all the information though, I felt like then you knew the decision you needed to make. And if it was lease, it would have been fine. I knew that could have been the case, but I just felt like, I felt like we had a good shot.
Yeah. And I already had you on the team, on our team, and you'd worked so hard, and so I was excited to sell it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sad, but that
But
was, I thought we were gonna have this house for a long time, but talking to you and just thinking it through really made sense to sell it.
yeah, yeah. Well, what's great too, just to make you feel even better about it, is that I truly think that we got the best, highest price per foot for the assessor's square footage. I think we set a record, and so I'm going to. Yeah, I was worried about the appraisal.
Yeah,
I
so
was sincerely worried about the appraisal. There was only one comp that came close. The rest of them gave us a different number, and so that's why too. I told Topher, because Topher's so charming, so good with people. I said, go in there and Topherize this, because you need to go in there and be compelling for the value, and he just handled it beautifully. And so that's another reason why it's great to have a great team.
yeah, no, we love Topher.
Yeah,
So I didn't know it set a record potentially, but
I'm
that's
going to confirm it. I'm
it's
going to confirm it. I think it's around like 1,200, 1,300 a foot. That's
wow.
pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So another thing happened. We immediately got a great offer, and then
Hour one, like hour one.
yeah. Tell us, talk about that experience, because you seemed so deflated. I was going like, this is so rough. We had it. This was the perfect buyer, and everything seemed ideal. And then what happened?
So it was fast. I think it was your Taco Tuesday, like the second hour, first day you came in and
Hmm.
had this offer over asking, and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my god, like this house is hot. Like
Yeah.
people want this because you're like this couple came back 2 or 3 times. They've looked at it a few times, and I actually drove by the house that day. I don't think I ever told you this. I drove by the house that day just to like check it out, like FBI
Hmm.
status, and I left. And I'm pretty sure I saw the couple because they were just like looked so happy in the front. Anyways, and then I was like, well, let's negotiate a little bit higher. And then they came back, they brought their friends, their family, and then they pulled the offer because they came back to see if they were going to match us kind of where we had asked to go higher. And we had no other offers on the table, but I still thought it was a good idea. I just felt like it was too soon. There wasn't enough commotion and activity, which I realized is not always necessary in making a real estate deal. It is okay to take
Right.
the first offer if it's a good one. And to me,
Right.
well, maybe there's something better out there, which is, you know, the demise
It's
of,
a normal way of thinking.
yeah, it's like why people gamble. It's like people don't get married. Like there might be
Hmm.
something better. Um, so we thought there might be something better. And then they pulled the offer. So that was a little bit deflating. Thankfully, it was early on. And then you
Hmm.
guys, I just really appreciated your guys' you and Topher, your attitude. Like, we're going to go in hard. We're going to do all the showings. We're going to be there. We're going to sell it.
Right.
It helped keep my husband and I positive about it. Like, we weren't as deflated as I think we would have been, maybe with a different agent who didn't take that stance of, it's okay. We're going to get this done. And that
Right.
attitude, and you did get it done. So we ended up selling it for a very similar amount. Um,
Yeah.
just as,
With a great buyer who was so reasonable during the whole process.
yeah.
Terrific agent on the other side as well. Yeah, because when you were talking about countering, I thought like I totally get why you want to, but I was thinking this is a fickle market, and it was making me nervous because I thought their offer was so good. It wasn't like it was low and we were going to counter; it was high, and then we were talking about countering. And a year or two ago, we'd have done that all day long. But in today's market, I was a little more concerned, and so I remember giving you both sides of it. And at the end of it, you and Amon talked, and you guys figured out and said, "Okay, this is what we want to do." So, and then what they do? They brought a friend with them, and their friend talked them out of it.
Yeah. Because it's an issue that they should have known day one.
They
But it's
did.
fine. Everything happens for a reason. I'm so happy the family that got it got the house.
I,
You know,
I, I agree. They're
like
just lovely.
yeah, they have kids. They can grow up in that home, and it's an amazing school district for the kids. So I'm happy for them. I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, anything else you want to talk about within that deal, or we can move on to some other real estate hell if you have anything to share.
I mean that was like real estate heaven. So I don't know. So maybe got to change the name of this podcast after this
Oh,
episode. because that was painless. I just signed a couple of signs and that was it.
You know what? I think honestly, I think that's the best quote ever. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
No, nothing else for that deal. It was just thank you. Thank you for.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was a team effort, and Topher, what a great sales partner. He was, we are always watching out and on top of it, and the project manager was great.
Yeah.
There was one time when we were asking you to power wash outside, and the guy comes and power washes, but it's the first time we'd used him. I didn't told you this. He goes in there and he just totally f's up the landscaping and squirts stuff everywhere. So the hardscape looks great, but then all the railroad ties in front are all messed up and everything, and people are going like, "Why are you being so picky?" I said, "Because this needs to be the shiny penny. We're asking for a premium." And so I called up Joel and I said, I know, this is asking a lot, but can you just come over real quick? And he sent the team over and they dolled it up again, and then we shot it and it was beautiful. But I couldn't stand the fact that the mulch was messed up and there was splatters of mud and stuff. I said, no. We worked too hard for this. And so.
I love that perfectionist eye, Scott.
Yeah. So, do you have any other real estate stories or any maybe less heavenly stories?
So this was actually, we bought this house in 2017, and then the house that I currently live in, we bought last year. So those are two other transactions. And when we bought this house, we did not have an agent. Mm-hmm. And the agent on the other side, he knew nothing about the house, like how to open the windows. It was just a weird experience because it wasn't as professional as it should be now that I know working with you.
Thank you.
Bought the house, the sellers didn't want to pay the fee, so they didn't have an agent either, and that was also like a little dicey. So I realized in working with you how much less stressful it is. The whole process was just so easy. Like those ones were more stressful. There was a lot going on. I felt like we didn't really have the support we needed on either side. So in working with you, it was really important, and it made me understand how important it is to have competent and professional representation in a transaction such as buying or selling a house, which most people, I didn't realize, don't really understand or do.
It's interesting because I have real estate attorneys calling and asking advice because I'm in the trenches and whatnot, but it'd be like me trying to understand what you do. To you, it's like nothing. Yeah. This is what you do. And so but I love it. And thank you for all your kind words. I do appreciate that. So in that other situation where you bought the other house, so you weren't represented and you said, or you were?
We did not have an agent.
Okay. And then what, and then you, but because you, so the seller had an agent and he represented both sides? Or
yeah, he was representing both sides.
Okay.
But he was just, I don't even know if he was an agent. He had a license number, but I don't know how much experience he had. And every question we asked him, he's like, "Oh, let me get back to you. I don't know." He just couldn't answer the basic questions we had a lot of the time. The deal ended up going through fine, but it wasn't as easy, and I didn't feel as confident and as comfortable as I did with you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's also tough, I've got to imagine, when you've got an agent who represents a seller and then you come in. And so everyone wants to save money, but I think the biggest challenge is, do you feel like you're being fully represented?
Yeah. And I think this is a newer house, so we weren't so much concerned about issues, closures, because it was a newer build. But I definitely think an older house, we would not have gotten, there may have been things that could not have been disclosed or some type of conflict of interest. We got lucky that we've been here a year and a half, that it's worked out well, but I would not advise it. I would advise against it because it's like being a lawyer. There's a conflict of interest. I can't represent the plaintiff and the defendant at the same time. They both want different things.
Right. And no matter how good of a person you are, no matter how ethical and honest you are, I just think it's an uphill battle. And with us, it's legally I can represent both sides,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. So I get people call me all the time and they say, you're the listing agent. So they're thinking they're going to get favor with me. And I said, are you represented? And they say, no. And I said, well, I don't represent both sides. I said, well, he says, if you do, or she, if you do, then you can make more money. And I said, and then the question almost always comes up, do you think we could get a better deal?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be very blunt. This is what I literally said this. So let me get this straight. If I fuck over my seller, then I can make more money and then I can represent you. Well, no, I'm not saying it. So that's totally what you're saying.
Totally.
I said, I don't do that. I don't do that. So you can bring in your own agent, or one of my team could represent you, but I represent the seller fully. Okay. He or she will represent the buyer fully. Now, the only benefit to that is they know how I work. Mm-hmm. So they're going to come in and they know how to work with me, and they're great agents and stuff. But you don't have to do this. And so that's how we end up handling it. And people are thinking it's just kind of, it's unscrupulous to come in and think I'm going to get a better deal by just giving you a little bit of money and maybe you can get 100 off.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way it works.
Now that a lot of people don't do that. They're like, okay, fine. They'll make money. Like, so they're not as ethical as you in that sense.
Well, you're a parent. I at night when I tuck my kids in or when I see them, I want them to see a stand-up guy. And that's how my dad was, and because he was in real estate. That's how my mom is. And if it means you lose a deal, I would rather walk away from a deal than to not do it right, to give it my absolute best.
100%. That's what my dad taught me. He's like, go home, go to bed at night knowing that you didn't screw anyone over.
Right.
Put your head on that pillow. So. But
you know what's interesting, Mona? I mean, by you doing that too, the truth is you're going to end up getting more business because people are going to, they're going to like you. They're going to trust you. If you don't do that one deal because it's not the right thing to do, you're still, like if you would have decided to lease, but I talked you into selling, that would have sucked. But if you have all the information for lease and sell and understand the pros and cons, then you're making the right decision, and then you're going to trust me. And you'll trust me for the next one. So it all works out.
I agree. Yeah. It all works out.
So I do have another question for you. We like to always include, and thank you for the semi-health stories.
Soft.
Yes.
A light.
Okay, yes. Do you have a charity or a cause that we can shine light on? We'd like to explore not just your business, not just the real estate hell, but something that's close to your heart.
So there's two.
Go for it. Yeah.
One, of course, is a very popular one, and being that I have two young kids, and one that went through a lot of health issues his first year of life, just really like wore down on me as a mom.
Sure.
It's McDonald House. So
you said McDonald's house?
The Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, cool. Okay.
For children. Mm-hmm. So it helps provide support to children and to families whose children are going through like any medical issues at a hospital. So for example, it'll put parents in a hotel near a hospital if the kid is getting surgery at a different hospital in a state that doesn't provide a type of surgery that a child would need, or with a doctor or a specialist. So there's that, obviously, because kids are near and dear to my heart. And the second is one called the Wolf Connection. It's wolves are very special, smart, amazing animals. I don't think many people realize that. And there's a sanctuary up near Palmdale, and they offer a lot of therapeutic programs for women and children. Mm-hmm. So like wolf therapy, which sounds so interesting and just wild, because it's literally wild, but it's something that doesn't have much exposure, and it's so close to Los Angeles. So just for people to check out and have a different resource of how to gain therapy through nature and animals.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I can tell you with our family, because I'm a dad also, is having the kids out in nature has been a game changer, especially in this electronic world that we live in. Because if it's up to my daughter and my sons and stuff, it would be like they literally could sit. Like my daughter likes watching anime and stuff, which I'm going like, okay,
yeah,
I'll give it a try. But she loves the story, and it's a good escape for her. That's what she said. And then they like playing games and everything. But to get them out, like my two youngest are in Emerald Bay right now, Scout Camp. No electronics at all. No electronics at all. So to me, that's great. So I love that. I want to look into that. If you wouldn't mind also send a link to the website for both.
For sure.
to the producer. That way we can make sure that we highlight that, and then we can, shine some light on it.
Wonderful. I'll do that.
All right. I didn't expect that. I wanted to start howling, but I
Yeah.
thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, could you howl? Your wife should come home and wonder what happened to you, but
Exactly. Yeah.
she'll
Yeah.
never.
My wife she's so awesome. There's things that I'll say to her, she'll hear me say on the phone and stuff with my buddies or something, and she just looks at me and she goes, Because really, if anyone else would hear him, you could misinterpret it. But she trusts me so much that she knows if I say something, or if I'm talking to a woman on the phone, she knows where my heart and my intentions are. So of course it came across wrong, but clearly I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, thank goodness. Yes, I'm pretty lucky.